Um, well, this is a white mulberry, and I think it's a form, a small-leaved form called Tatarica, which is known as the Russian mulberry. But you know, that's open to debate. Mulberries have been quite important trees, and the white mulberry particularly, because for the last 4,700 years we've fed silkworms on mulberries to produce silk. James I had a very good idea, and he introduced the black mulberry, Morus nigra. This is Morus alba, Tatarica. He produced or imported the black mulberry and wanted to set up a silkworm production in Britain, in England. But of course it didn't work, because the silkworm prefers this to the leaves of the black mulberry, which are bigger and a bit coarser. So it didn't work, and other places in Europe we've tried to get a silk industry going, and it hasn't really worked. It does work in China, obviously, and in that part of the east. This is native to China, central China, and but there are 7 species, different species of mulberry, and they all are fruit bearer, and interestingly they're used in various parts of the world as fodder crops. So in dry places where there are summer droughts, sometimes they're grown and cut to feed cattle. The fruit of the white mulberry is not, in my view, as nice as the black mulberry. Some of you will know the black mulberry. It's like a giant blackberry in a way, and very juicy. And if you get it wrong, all the evidence is down your blouse or shirt. The white mulberry is either white, or sometimes it gets a bit of a red hue to it, a pinky red hue, and it is quite flavoursome, but not as juicy and not quite as nice. But with all mulberries you can make jams and jellies and all of that kind of thing, and it's a lovely ornamental tree. It's a quick growing tree, so you know, within a few years you've got plant a stick and you've got a tree worth looking at. This one's about as big as it's going to get. The downside with mulberries is that when they get to a certain bulk and age, they fall apart and they begin to decline, and this one is at that stage now. But we could coppice it and it would regrow, interestingly, and I have done that in Oxford with mulberries. Cut them almost to the ground and they regrow and make a multi-stem tree. That means lots of branches. So it's really quite interesting. And another interesting fact is that the flowers are wind pollinated, and which is not unusual in itself, but the pollen is scattered by the stamen at 380 miles an hour, and that is the quickest plant reaction of any plant, which is surprising, because some of you might know things like euphorbia, for instance, which is a perennial or subshrub, and they have an ejection mechanism which seeds right, cast seed, and various other seed custom plants, you would have thought that they would have at least equalled that. So, but I've 380 miles an hour apparently is half the speed of light. But that's only what I read in a book, I couldn't prove it. And it's really quite interesting in that way, botanically. It has lovely bark and it has nice leaves, and they turn yellow in the autumn. And at the moment, in due course, Claire might be able to get a picture of some of the fruit which is developing. It's fruiting quite well at the moment. So it's an attractive tree. It's a good garden tree, good fruiter, and so worth considering if you've got a garden of a reasonable size.